You've stepped back, you've given her space, maybe you've even gone silent. Yet something tells you she hasn't truly moved on. Women don't always express emotions in apparent ways. Instead, their actions, subtle behaviors, and even the smallest gestures reveal far more than their words ever could. When a woman deeply misses a man, she won't always say it outright, but if you know what to look for, the signs become undeniable. This video will walk you through 10 powerful indicators that she regrets losing you. These aren't random behaviors rooted in psychology, attachment, and unspoken longing. And here's where the Stoic mindset comes in. High-value men don't chase, they observe. They decide. They act with purpose. By the end of this video, you'll recognize when a woman struggles to let go and understand how to respond. With strength, composure, and discipline. With no emotional reactions. No chasing. Just quiet, unshakable confidence that leaves her feeling the weight of your absence. Let's begin. 1. She finds excuses to contact you, understanding the hidden meaning behind her messages. When a woman reaches out to you, seemingly out of nowhere with a trivial question, an inside joke, or a memory from the past, it's rarely as random as it appears. These small messages, often dismissed as casual, carry more profound implications about her thoughts and emotions. They are subtle attempts to maintain a connection, checking if you're still there, responsive, and somewhat within her orbit. These messages, sometimes called breakmarins, are designed to test the waters, to see how you respond, where you stand emotionally, and whether the door is still open for further interaction. Women are emotionally intuitive creatures, and their communication is often layered with meaning. Unlike men who tend to be more direct in their approach, women rely on subtext, nuance, and emotional undertones to express their feelings. When she sends you that seemingly innocent text, "Hey, do you remember that time we got lost trying to find that cafe?" It's not just nostalgia speaking, she's gauging your reaction. Does your response indicate warmth and openness, or have you moved on completely? When she asks you something trivial, "Do you still have that book I lent you?" It's not just about the book. It's about seeing whether you're still receptive to a conversation with her. The problem is that many men misinterpret these signals emotionally. Some assume that these messages mean she wants to rekindle the romance immediately, leading them to respond with excessive enthusiasm or unrealistic expectations. Others, hurt from the past, might react with coldness or bitterness, shutting down the interaction to shield themselves from potential disappointment. But both extremes stem from allowing emotions to dictate actions rather than maintaining a balanced, rational perspective. A Stoic response in this situation is key. When she reaches out, stay composed. Don't let your emotions dictate your reaction. If you respond, do so with confidence and control. Keep the conversation light and neutral, avoiding any impulse to overanalyze her motives or project your feelings onto the situation. If you choose not to respond, let that silence come from a place of strength, not resentment. There is power in demonstrating emotional self-sufficiency, showing her that, while you acknowledge the connection you once had, you are not defined by it. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." This applies perfectly to how many men react to a woman reaching out after distance or separation. The mind tends to construct elaborate scenarios, interpreting small actions as grand gestures of reconciliation or hidden messages filled with longing. But more often than not, reality is much simpler. A woman's text does not necessarily mean she wants to rekindle the relationship. Sometimes, It's just a way to reassure herself that the connection still lingers in some form. Understanding this keeps you grounded, allowing you to engage or not engage from a position of self-assurance rather than neediness. The best approach to these breadcrumbs is to evaluate what you truly want. If she is someone you still care for and you believe there's genuine potential for something more, engage calmly and confidently. Don't chase, simply respond in a way that aligns with your values and self-respect. If you've determined that moving on is the best course of action, let that silence be a firm yet non-hostile boundary. Whatever you do, ensure that your actions stem from clarity and purpose, rather than emotional reactivity. Women respect men who have emotional discipline and can maintain control of their reactions without being easily swayed by nostalgia or fleeting interactions. Whether you choose to respond or not, the key is keeping that strength, showing that you are in charge of your emotions and your life. In doing so, you earn her respect and reinforce your sense of self-worth. 2. She stalks your social media. In the age of digital connection, social media has become more than just a platform for sharing updates. It's a window into people's lives, emotions, and unspoken desires. If you've noticed that a woman from your past, an ex, a former crush, or even someone you were briefly involved with, continues to interact with your posts, watches all your stories, or even likes and comments on old photos, you might be wondering what it all means. When someone has genuinely moved on, they don't feel the need to keep track of your every move. So if she's still paying attention, even from a distance, it's likely that she hasn't completely let go. Psychologically, people who struggle to detach often find indirect ways to maintain a sense of connection. While she may no longer be in your life physically, she might still hold on to the emotional bond you once shared. Checking your social media, engaging with your posts, and even bringing up memories in conversations with mutual friends are subtle ways she keeps herself tethered to you without making direct contact. She might not fully know her motivations. Sometimes, emotions take longer to catch up with logic. There's also the phenomenon of happiness signaling, where someone claiming to have moved on showcases their best moments online. If she suddenly starts posting pictures of herself looking her absolute best, going out more often, or appearing to live a carefree life filled with new adventures, it might not be as simple as it seems. Genuinely happy people don't need to prove it to others. If her posts seem curated to send a message, especially if they appear right after you've shared something about your own life, there's a chance she's still hoping you'll notice. But here's where emotional discipline comes in. A man genuinely controlling his life does not react impulsively to these signals. He understands that social media interactions are not a reliable measure of someone's true feelings, nor should they dictate his emotional state. If she's watching your life from afar, that's her journey to navigate, not yours to fix. The best action is to continue living authentically without letting her digital presence interfere with your personal growth. Responding emotionally, whether by reaching out, engaging in her social media activity, or trying to decipher hidden meanings in her posts, only pulls you back into a cycle that prevents you from moving forward. Instead, adopt a mindset of self-respect and detachment. They will reveal themselves more directly over time if she still has feelings. And if she's just lingering out of habit, your indifference will communicate louder than any response ever could. In the end, social media is merely an illusion of connection. What truly matters is how you carry yourself in real life. Stay disciplined, focus on your path, and let her actions speak for themselves. The past has already played its part. Your focus should be on the future you're building, not on the echoes of what once was. 3. When she mentions you to mutual friends, the subtle signs of lingering interest. Even when spoken to others, a woman's words can reveal far more than she may intend. If she didn't care, your name wouldn't appear in conversations. When mutual friends casually mention that she's been asking about you, it's not just a passing remark, it's a sign that you still occupy space in her mind. Women don't bring up men they've forgotten. When she speaks your name, even indirectly, it reflects her thoughts, curiosity, and possibly unresolved emotions. For many men, hearing that she's been inquiring about them can spark an immediate rush of emotions, hope, confusion, even an urge to act. It's natural to want to analyze every detail, to wonder what she meant, or to use this as an opening to re-establish contact. But this is where many go wrong. Reacting impulsively, chasing after breadcrumbs of attention, or breaking a period of silence too soon can erase the intrigue in your favor. Attraction isn't reignited by desperation. It thrives in mystery, confidence, and self-assurance. A Stoic man understands this dynamic. He doesn't seek validation from fleeting mentions of his name. He recognizes that true attraction is not built on scraps of attention, but on the solid foundation of self-worth. If she genuinely wants to reconnect, she will find a way. If she is simply testing the waters, the best response is to remain composed and let her curiosity grow. The philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "If you are distressed by anything external, it is not the thing itself that troubles you, but your judgment about it." This applies perfectly to the situation. It is not the fact that she mentioned you that should dictate your emotions, it is how you interpret it. Instead of reacting, let her feel the void your absence has created. Women reflect deeply on what they've lost when they see a man thriving without them. If she once took your presence for granted, seeing you continue on your path, unshaken, confident, and fulfilled, forces her to reconsider her feelings. The man she once knew is not waiting by the phone, clinging to every word she utters. He is moving forward, and that realization alone can motivate her to reach out meaningfully. This is why true power in relationships comes from within. The man who holds his ground, who doesn't chase at the first sign of interest, is the man who commands genuine respect. Let her wonder, let her question whether she made the right choice. And when or if she does reach out, she will do so knowing that it was her decision, not because you sought her attention, but because she felt the pull of your presence even in your absence. 4. She reminisces about the good times. There's a moment when she suddenly reaches out, seemingly out of nowhere, referencing a song you once shared, a place you visited together, or an inside joke only the two of you understand. It's not just a casual memory, it's nostalgia in action. Women, like men, are deeply affected by their past emotional experiences, and when she begins to reminisce, it's a sign that those moments still hold weight in her mind. Nostalgia is one of the most powerful emotional triggers. It brings comfort, familiarity, and a longing for what it once was. When a woman reminisces about the good times, she subconsciously revisits the emotions tied to those memories. She isn't just thinking about the event itself. She's remembering how she felt with you in that moment. The sense of security, excitement, or connection you once shared. That's why even a simple message, "This song reminds me of you," carries much deeper meaning than the words alone suggest. It signals an internal pull, a subconscious desire to reconnect with a feeling she associates with you. This emotional recall can be especially significant if the relationship has cooled down or ended. A woman doesn't reminisce about someone who had no impact on her. If she's bringing up past experiences, they still hold meaning in her emotional landscape. But here's where many men misstep. They immediately mistake nostalgia for an invitation to rekindle the relationship. They rush in, eager to pick up where things left off, responding with excitement or desperation, trying to recreate the past instead of fully allowing her to feel the absence. A Stoic perspective is crucial in these moments. Instead of reacting emotionally and assuming that her nostalgia means she wants to reconnect right away, recognize it for what it is, a sign that she is reflecting, perhaps testing the waters, but not necessarily ready to dive back in. Composure is key. If she's remembering the good times, let her sit with that feeling. Let her miss you rather than immediately step in to comfort or reassure her. When a man stays grounded and doesn't chase the moment, he allows her to lean into the nostalgia and explore her emotions wholly. Think of it like this. Nostalgia creates a space where she feels the void of your absence. If you rush to fill that space the moment she hints at missing you, she doesn't get the chance to feel it honestly. But if you remain steady, letting her reach out without over-investing in the interaction, she will naturally be drawn closer. She will associate you with those positive emotions while feeling the contrast of your absence. This contrast is what can make her attraction and longing grow stronger. This isn't about playing mind games. It's about understanding the natural psychology behind attraction and emotional attachment. She responds with calm, understated acknowledgement rather than immediate enthusiasm when she reaches out with nostalgic memories. If she says, "I just heard our song on the radio," a simple, "That's a good one," is more powerful than, "Wow, I miss those times so much, we should catch up." The former keeps you composed and lets her do the emotional heavy lifting. The latter removes the mystery and can make her feel like you're too eager to jump back in. This principle applies whether the two of you are in a current relationship, a period of distance, or even after a breakup. When a woman reminisces, it's a sign that you left an emotional imprint. But how you handle that moment determines whether the attraction deepens or whether she gets the comfort of nostalgia without a fundamental longing to reconnect. A man who can hold his composure in the face of emotional signals like this becomes someone she respects and continues to be drawn toward. The key takeaway is this: nostalgia is a powerful force, but it works best when left to do its job naturally. Let her sit with her emotions. Let her feel the impact of your absence. And let her be the one to bridge the gap if she genuinely wants to. By maintaining emotional discipline and understanding the depth behind her reminiscing, you position yourself as a man who is steady, confident, and one step ahead in the dynamic of attraction. 5. She gets emotional when she sees you moving on. A woman's emotions are complex, layered, and often driven by subconscious expectations she may not fully understand. Something shifts inside her when she sees that you are genuinely moving on. She may not have realized how much she expected you to linger in the past, to hold on to the memories, or to keep the door open for reconciliation, quietly. Now, confronted with the reality that you are embracing a new chapter without her, emotions start to surface in ways that may not always be logical, but they are deeply human. It often begins subtly. Perhaps she hears through mutual friends that you're seeing someone new. Maybe she notices a change in your demeanor, confidence in your step, a different energy about you. It doesn't take much for the realization to hit. While she may not outwardly express sadness or jealousy, her behavior shifts in ways that reveal her inner turmoil. Passive-aggressive comments might slip into casual conversations, as if they carry no weight, yet are designed to provoke a reaction. She might become unusually distant, responding with a coldness that wasn't there before, or, paradoxically, she might seek attention indirectly, posting cryptic messages, suddenly reaching out for seemingly trivial reasons, or acting indifferent while subtly drawing you back into her orbit. Why does this happen? It's not necessarily about wanting you back. It's about realizing she never expected you to detach so wholly. In her mind, there was an unspoken assumption that you would remain tethered to the past, that your presence in her life, however distant, was something she could count on. Seeing you move forward, seeing you genuinely happy without her, forces a confrontation with regret, insecurity, and a sense of lost control. Even if she was the one who ended things, even if she had made peace with the decision at the time, watching you thrive independently brings emotions to the surface that she may not have been prepared for. Your response in these moments defines the trajectory of your growth. The key is not to validate her emotional turmoil. Do not let her passive-aggressive remarks, sudden distance, or attention-seeking behavior sway you from your path. It's natural to feel a flicker of satisfaction when you realize she is struggling with your absence, but don't mistake that for a reason to re-engage. Acknowledge her emotions without feeding into them. If she acts cold, remain warm but detached. If she seeks your attention, respond with polite indifference. Do not fall into the trap of proving something to her or seeking closure through unnecessary conversations. She is now grappling with the consequences of her choices, and it is not your responsibility to ease that discomfort. Moving on is not about making her regret losing you. It's about stepping fully into the life you are meant to live. When a man truly moves forward, he does so with quiet confidence, unbothered by the reactions of those he leaves behind. Let her sit with the reality of her decisions while you embrace your journey. In time, her emotions will settle, and so will yours, but by then you will already be standing in a future no longer defined by the past. 6. She lingers in places you frequent. Attraction is rarely as straightforward as words or direct actions. Often, it unfolds through subtle and carefully orchestrated encounters, moments that seem coincidental but are anything but. It is rarely accidental when a woman starts appearing in places you frequent, your favorite cafe, gym, the bookstore you love, or even at events that seem oddly aligned with your interests. These are not mere chance meetings, they are deliberate choices. She is placing herself in your world, hoping for a natural interaction, a moment where fate seemingly steps in to bring you together again. This behavior stems from an innate desire for connection. Rather than directly reaching out, which could make her feel too exposed or vulnerable, she creates opportunities for you to notice her presence. It is her way of signaling interest without the pressure of outright pursuit. Suppose she lingers nearby, casually flipping through a book in your favorite store section or sipping coffee a few tables away. In that case, she is extending an unspoken invitation for you to acknowledge her existence. These engineered moments allow her to gauge your interest while maintaining the illusion of spontaneity. Psychologically, this behavior is rooted in the balance between pursuit and retreat. Women, especially those who value their sense of mystery and intrigue, will rarely chase openly. Instead, they employ subtler methods to remain within your orbit, creating scenarios where an interaction can happen naturally. This strategy allows her to maintain a sense of dignity while still allowing you to take the lead. The key to navigating this situation is maintaining a composed and unaffected presence. A man who understands the nature of attraction does not react emotionally or eagerly when he notices her recurring appearances. Instead of confronting her directly or making an unnecessary comment about the coincidence, he simply acknowledges her presence with a calm, collected demeanor. A slight nod, a passing glance, or a casual acknowledgement is all needed. The less you react, the more her curiosity deepens. This is the paradox of desire. When she feels that you are not immediately captivated by her proximity, she becomes more intrigued. A woman who lingers in places you frequent subtly tests your ability to remain composed, exuding a magnetic presence without being overly responsive. She wants to be noticed, but she also wants to be intrigued by your ability to remain unfazed. However, this does not mean ignoring her altogether. Indifference is not the goal. Controlled awareness is. When a woman invests effort into being present in your environment, she seeks an emotional response, even if she does not openly express it. The art lies in acknowledging her presence without immediately validating it. You must let her wonder what you are thinking, if you have noticed her, and whether she has successfully drawn your attention. This uncertainty fuels attraction, making her desire your recognition even more. If she continues to appear in your space, allow the interactions to unfold organically. If she positions herself near you, let her initiate a conversation or create an opening for one to happen naturally. The moment she takes that step, whether it is a casual remark about the cafe's coffee selection or a shared observation about the gym, it is a sign that she is comfortable enough to bridge the gap. You must remain engaged, yet controlled, showing interest without being overly eager. Attraction thrives in tension, in the delicate push and pull of presence and distance. When a woman lingers in your world, she invites you into hers. You create an environment where intrigue and anticipation build by maintaining quiet confidence and allowing her to take small steps toward you. The less you force an outcome, the more naturally it will unfold. 7. She becomes unpredictable or passive-aggressive. One of the most perplexing behaviors a man can encounter in relationships is when a woman starts exhibiting unpredictable or passive-aggressive tendencies. One moment she's warm and affectionate, the next she's distant and unapproachable. She might engage in subtle mind games, withholding affection or communication to provoke your reaction. She may make cryptic remarks, drop hints, or behave in a way that leaves you constantly guessing her true feelings. At its core, this behavior stems from unresolved emotional investment. A woman who has genuinely moved on from a situation, whether it be a breakup, an argument, or an emotional conflict, does not feel the need to engage in these behaviors. She simply lets go. But if she becomes inconsistent, playing hot and cold, or engaging in passive-aggressive tactics, it's often because she is still emotionally entangled in some way. She may be testing you, seeking reassurance, or trying to regain control. Recognizing these signs is crucial because many men fall into the trap of reacting emotionally to them. When a woman pulls away suddenly after being affectionate, it can trigger insecurity or frustration. When she engages in mind games, it's tempting to try to decipher her motives or chase after her for clarity. But this is precisely what fuels the cycle. She may not even be consciously aware that she's doing it, but on a psychological level, she is observing how much control she has over your emotions. If you become reactive, upset, or overly invested in trying to decode her actions, you reinforce the behavior, causing instability in the relationship. The best response to unpredictability is unwavering emotional control. When she withdraws or becomes erratic, resist the urge to chase, question, or retaliate. Instead, maintain a steady and composed demeanor. This does not mean being indifferent or cold, but demonstrating her fluctuating behavior does not dictate your emotional state. She may try to provoke a response, but when you remain unshaken, the game loses its power. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." In this case, the best response to erratic behavior is to be the opposite of reactive. When she becomes distant, you remain centered. When she tests your patience with indirect remarks, you respond only to what is clear and direct. When she tries to provoke an emotional reaction, you give her nothing but calm and collected energy. Over time, this signals her that manipulative or unpredictable behavior does not influence your sense of self. Avoiding unnecessary drama is one of the most critical lessons in handling emotional unpredictability. Many men get caught in cycles of argumentation, defensiveness, or justification when faced with passive-aggressive behavior. But engaging in drama only fuels the fire. The more you respond emotionally, the more she feels justified in continuing these patterns. Instead, disengage from emotional traps. If she makes vague or cryptic statements, don't chase after meaning. If she suddenly withdraws, don't plead for answers. When you maintain your composure, you force her to communicate more directly and openly. The real power lies in inner stillness. Women, consciously or unconsciously, look for emotional strength in men. A man who can remain calm and composed in the face of uncertainty and emotional tests becomes far more attractive than one who reacts impulsively. This is not about being detached or unemotional, it's about being grounded in your sense of worth. You are not swayed by temporary fluctuations in her mood or actions, because your confidence comes from within. In the end, unpredictability and passive-aggressive behavior are often challenges to gauge your stability. If you remain unmoved, maintaining a strong and unwavering presence, the instability will either dissipate or reveal more profound truths about the relationship. You are not here to decode mixed signals or play into emotional turbulence. You are here to be a steady force that naturally commands respect and deepens attraction through unshakable confidence. 8. She leaves the door open for you. There are moments when a woman's actions seem to signal interest, yet they remain ambiguous. Subtle gestures that neither invite full pursuit nor completely shut the door. You might receive occasional messages like, "Hope you're doing well," or "Just wanted to say hi." Men often interpret these casual check-ins as precise indications of attraction, but they function more as breadcrumbs rather than a full commitment. They are small gestures meant to keep a connection open without necessarily deepening it. One of the most common mistakes men make in these situations is assuming that every minor effort on her part is an invitation to pursue. When you're interested in a woman, it's easy to latch on to these moments and see them as signs that she's waiting for you to take action. You may feel compelled to respond enthusiastically, reignite the conversation, or make plans immediately. However, this kind of response can often backfire. Women genuinely invested in a connection do more than send occasional, low-effort messages. They take tangible steps toward building a relationship. They initiate meaningful conversations, make consistent efforts to see you, and show through actions, not just words, that they value your presence in their lives. Understanding this dynamic requires a sense of emotional discipline. Attraction flourishes in space, not in chasing. If she only offers sporadic, surface-level communication, the best response is to remain composed and observe her actions over time. Does she put in real effort? Does she follow up on her messages? Does she take the initiative to move things forward? If the answer is no, then her interest is not strong enough to warrant pursuit. The key is to recognize the difference between a woman genuinely drawn to you and one merely keeping you as an option. A high-value man does not chase breadcrumbs. He doesn't allow himself to be pulled into a cycle of one-sided effort, where he is constantly trying to decode her intentions or push for something that isn't naturally progressing. Instead, he understands that real attraction is reciprocal. If a woman truly values him, she will do more than just send a check in text. When faced with these subtle, low-effort signals, the best action is to adopt a mindset of patience and clarity. She will show it consistently and deliberately if she is genuinely interested. Chasing after fleeting gestures will only lead to frustration if she is not. A man who respects himself understands that he is worth more than someone's occasional thought. He invests his time in relationships built on mutual effort and genuine attraction, not those that leave him waiting for more. 9. She tries to get your attention indirectly. In the world of attraction, women often send out signals that aren't always as straightforward as they may seem. Instead of directly clarifying their feelings, they might use subtle methods to grab your attention, drawing you in without saying much. These indirect actions are designed to spark curiosity and gauge your interest without putting yourself in a vulnerable position. She might capture your attention by posting inside jokes or sharing memories on social media. These posts are not meant to be random. They are carefully crafted messages to remind you of the connection you share. She might drop a hint in a playful, seemingly innocent comment that only the two of you would truly understand. It's her way of keeping the bond alive and giving you a chance to reciprocate the connection without coming right out and saying it. Sharing these moments publicly might seem casual, but deep down, she's hoping you'll notice and take the bait. She may try to get your attention by subtly bringing up old memories. This can happen in casual conversations where she'll mention a moment from your past together, perhaps something you both enjoyed or something that meant a lot to her. She invites you to reflect on your connection while testing how much you remember or value those shared experiences. These small gestures are often her way of gauging whether you are still thinking about her or whether the bond you once had still holds meaning. She may also take a more calculated approach by delaying her response to your messages. While a quick reply is often expected in modern communication, she might choose to wait a little longer, testing how you react to the delay. Will you chase her and seek her validation? Or will you maintain your composure and resist the temptation to bombard her with attention? In this subtle game of emotional give and take, she's seeking to understand how much effort you're willing to invest in pursuing her. Two types of men respond to these subtle signals. The weak man rushes in, eager to gain her attention and validation. He reacts impulsively, jumping at any opportunity to prove his interest, often appearing desperate or overly enthusiastic. His need for immediate validation can turn her off, signaling insecurity rather than the confidence she craves in a potential partner. On the other hand, the Stoic man responds with awareness and patience. He notices the clues she's dropping, but doesn't react impulsively. He takes his time, observing her behavior without rushing to fulfill her unspoken expectations. He's comfortable in his skin, secure enough to wait for the right moment to make his move. This calm and composed response draws her in and builds a sense of intrigue and excitement as she wonders if he's genuinely interested or just playing it cool. Ultimately, women appreciate a man who can maintain his composure, even when faced with subtle signals and emotional tests. By staying grounded and avoiding impulsive reactions, the Stoic man signals confidence, emotional maturity, and self-assurance, traits that women find incredibly attractive. The key to responding to these indirect signs is not to rush in, but to embrace the space between actions and words, allowing the connection to grow naturally without forcing it. 10. She regrets losing you when you stand firm. A man who truly knows his worth is a force of nature. He understands that he does not need to chase after validation, especially regarding relationships. When things are unclear or when a woman pulls away, his response is not to chase after her or give in to her sudden requests. Instead, he stands firm and allows the natural flow of time and space to work in his favor. The key to this mindset lies in Stoicism, the ability to remain calm, composed, and self-assured in the face of external challenges or emotional turbulence. When a woman begins to regret losing you or shows signs of missing you, a man who knows his value will not rush back into the relationship. He knows that her emotions may be a product of her realizations, not necessarily a sign that things should return to how they were. A true mark of self-mastery is the ability to avoid seeking external validation in the form of another person's affection or attention. It's easy to fall into the trap of wanting to feel needed or wanted. However, a man who values himself realizes his worth is not contingent on someone else's feelings toward him. He doesn't define his value by the space someone else occupies. When a woman expresses regret over losing you, it can often be a sign that she is coming to terms with her choices. Instead of rushing back in, recognize that this is a natural part of emotional reflection. Standing firm, continuing to pursue your goals, and not wavering in your decision sends a powerful message that you are not driven by desperation, but by discipline and purpose. She will see that you have your own life, passions, and aspirations, things that don't require her to feel validated by your presence. One of the most prominent mistakes men make is to rush back into a relationship after a brief period of absence, especially when a woman expresses regret or begins to show signs of missing them. This reaction typically stems from a desire to be needed, but it can often backfire. When you show that you are unaffected by her regret, it creates a sense of mystery and respect. You are not the same man who needs validation. You have grown beyond the relationship and are secure in your worth. So, what should you do instead? Let time and space work in your favor. Keep moving forward with discipline and purpose. Keep developing your own life, growing emotionally, mentally, and physically. The right person will recognize your worth because you show it through your actions, not your willingness to appease her. By standing firm in your sense of self and not rushing back, you are teaching her to respect you for who you are, not just for what you can give her emotionally. You are setting a boundary that speaks volumes about your self-respect. With time, she will understand that a man who knows his worth is not easily swayed. She will begin to appreciate the man who has maintained his integrity and continued forward with his life rather than someone ready to turn back whenever she changes her mind. Ultimately, the key takeaway is that your value is not dependent on someone else's approval or desire for you. It lies in the consistency of your actions and the way you carry yourself in the world. A man who knows his worth doesn't beg for attention or validation. He stands firm, and by doing so, he draws people toward him who value him for who he truly is. When you learn to stand firm in your self-worth, you become more attractive to others and set the foundation for a deeper and more meaningful connection, whether with her or someone else down the line. When a man pulls back, gives space, or goes silent, yet a woman still lingers in his orbit, her actions often speak louder than words. Women may not always verbalize their emotions directly, but their behavior reveals their true feelings. From finding tiny excuses to contact him, subtly keeping tabs on his social media, or bringing up shared memories with mutual friends, each action is a sign of unresolved attachment. A woman who has truly moved on does not need to check in, reminisce, or create opportunities to cross paths. Nostalgia is a powerful emotional trigger, and when she starts to recall the good times, it signals an internal struggle between pride and longing. But a high-value man does not chase. He observes, decides, and acts purposefully. Stoic wisdom teaches that a man's strength lies in his ability to remain grounded and unshaken by emotional turbulence. Suppose she reacts emotionally when she sees him moving on. In that case, if she engineers random encounters or becomes passive-aggressive, it is not because she has let go, but because she grapples with the consequences of his absence. A woman who still holds feelings will often test the waters, leaving the door open with casual messages or indirect gestures, hoping to spark a reaction. Yet, a man who knows his worth does not mistake breadcrumbs for a feast. He understands that attraction builds in space, not chasing, and that genuine regret only sets in when he stands firm rather than rushing back at the first sign of attention. The real power lies in discipline and self-mastery. A man in control of himself, who moves forward with purpose rather than seeking external validation, becomes far more attractive than one who bends to fleeting emotions. What do you think? Have you experienced these signs before? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more insights on relationships, self-mastery, and Stoic wisdom.